and welcome to this Astranti tuition video on why you must plan your answers in the case study exam. And in this video, we're going to look at the importance of question planning, giving you a story as to just why it's so important to plan your questions, the benefits of planning, what you will gain from planning your answers effectively. Look at how this will help you identify the specific requirements that you need, the clear structure it will provide you for your answer that will keep you focused, how to use theory appropriately in a way that will allow you to add weight and depth to your answers, how you can apply it to the pre-seen and the unseen scenario, how you can manage your time more effectively, and to stop you waffling. And by the end of this video, I would hope that you have a good idea of why you must plan your answers and also have a bit more of an idea of how you can plan your answers. And this will serve as a lead up into the next video where we talk through the 9-step planning process that we teach here at Astranti. So I'm going to start by looking at the importance of question planning using a story of a student. And this student was a very, very bright student. They knew the theory like the back of their hand. They were really, really good. And as a result of that, they felt that they didn't need to plan. I know all the theory. I know how to answer these questions. It's fine. I'll get on and just write my answers. I don't need to worry about wasting time planning. And this is an attitude that a lot of students have. But unfortunately for this student, despite knowing all the content, despite being very confident that they knew everything that they needed to know and that they didn't have to plan, their answer, once they submitted it, was full of issues. There was no clear structure to it. The points that he had made were unclear and were not specifically answering the question. There was no application to the unseen or the pre-seen, which of course CIMA have said is incredibly important. And they'd also managed their time very poorly. They'd spent too much time on the first half and not enough time on the second half. And afterwards, to his credit, the student realized that they had made a mistake. And the student that once felt that he didn't need to plan realized that he definitely needed to plan. So that's the moral of the story there. Once he planned, he scored much higher. And in the case study exam, it is absolutely critical. It's vital. It's arguably even more important than writing more information itself, because as long as you have planned effectively, you will hit a lot of key points, key notes that CIMA will be examining your script based on. So in a sense, you are playing the game to ensure that you provide CIMA with everything that they want you to provide. So let's look at some of the key benefits of planning. And this is why it's so important that you must plan, particularly if some of you are still unconvinced. You still think, well, it's wasted time. I'd just rather get on and start writing. Well, here are a few of the benefits from writing an excellent plan. It helps you identify the requirements. Those of you who watched the previous video will know how important it is to make sure you are identifying the exact requirement that CIMA are asking. Otherwise, you risk answering a question that you want to answer rather than the one that's actually being asked, and you will not score good points. Provides a clear structure, allowing you to focus your answer and to hit lots of those key points. Allows you to use theory correctly and appropriately to add depth to your answer. Allows you to apply information to the unseen. Allows you to plan how you would insert that information from the unseen and indeed the pre-seen. Focuses your time management to stop being like that previous student who spent far too much time on section 1 and not enough time on section 2. And it also keeps your answers very focused. And as a result of that, means you will be directly answering the question. You won't be spending any of your precious time writing things that aren't going to score you marks. So let's start by looking at identifying the requirements. And identifying the requirements is very important, using the relevant information to find the exact requirement, exactly what is going to gain you marks in the exam. And I've got another story here about a student who wanted to answer a question that they wanted to answer rather than answering the question that was actually asked. And this question related to analyzing some financial information, including a net present value, hence why I have the net present value icon on the screen. And the problem was the question simply said, analyze this project. Is it something that we should be considering for the future? Now, this means lots of different things. Is it financially viable? Does it tie in with our strategy? Is it feasible? Can we afford it? All these things needed to come up in the answer. But what did this student do? Did they do that? No. They saw that the reference material was a net present value. And they thought, I know about net present value. I'm going to write an answer about net present value. And they started to tell me what a net present value was, why an organization might use one, the process of using one, the advantages of using it, the disadvantages of using it, the types of industries, the types of organizations where it is more effective than others. All good stuff. And if this question had been, tell me everything you know about net present values, it would have been a brilliant answer. But of course, the question was nothing like that. All you needed to do with regards to the net present value was to comment on the net present value figure as part of your analysis. It didn't mean tell me everything you knew about net present values. So, as part of the planning process, it's critical that you identify the requirements at the start. And it's a two-stage approach where you are identifying the requirements and also applying it to the scenario. So for each point that you bring up, talk about how it relates to the scenario and talk about how it relates to the specific question that you are answering. And if you do this, it will stop you from merging all your answers together, thus creating confusion when the marker is analyzing it. They have to really dig into what you're saying to try and pick out the specific marks, whereas if you keep it split up, they can easily isolate each part and provide it with a mark. And it also keeps you focused, because when you have planned effectively, when you have got your requirements there, you know that when you are writing your answer, you are writing to that particular header, to that particular requirement. And if something you are writing is not relevant to that, you know you're writing the wrong thing. So on to the next advantage of planning now is allowing you to create a clear structure. And creating a clear structure allows you to break the answer down by the different marks, allocate those marks effectively, manage your time effectively by creating a structure based around the mark allocation to ensure that you are not spending too much time in one area. This will allow you to make enough points to get the pass mark overall. Remember, you are looking to create a unique point for each mark that you get. And if you are spending too much time in one area, you are not going to make enough points overall to get the full marks. So, in the exam, you are going to have a 45-minute question, and that is going to be worth 25 marks. So if you are given a structure by CIMA, which you may be given, if you are not given one, then assume that it is even. So if there are two requirements and there is no allocation given, assume that it is 50-50. So what if you were given 3 subtasks and you were given the breakdown of 60-20-20? Now take a moment and think how you would break that down by marks and by minutes. And if you said that you would break it down by 15, 5, and 5, then that would roughly be correct. But if you had also said that you'd break it down by 13, 6, 6, or 14, 6, 5, then that would have been all right as well, because it would still have roughly allocated an appropriate amount of marks. And as you are looking to write about a paragraph for each mark, some paragraphs you might get more than 1 mark for, you'd still be roughly on track if you had split it up by 1366 or something along those lines, because it is not an exact science. As long as you are roughly around about this remit here of 1555, that is a reasonable breakdown of the subtasks that you have been given. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed it, and more importantly, you have found it useful. I'd like to finish by just telling you a few things about the products that we produce here at Astranti and the ones that are part of our course. So these materials can all be purchased as part of the course or purchased individually. So we have our study text. We have 3 study texts for all the objective test exams. So 3 study texts for E1, P1, F2, F3, etc. But we also have the study text specifically for the case study exams, split into 2 parts. The first is about how to approach the exam, how to analyze the information, how to plan your answers, how to write your answers, and also the second part, which looks at the key theories from the objective test levels that are relevant to the particular case study. So if you are looking at P2, F2, E2 for the management exam, F3, P3, E3 for the strategic case study exam, and so on. We have our course videos, which look at how to plan your answers, how to manage your time effectively. These are the key reasons why people fail the exam. We have our pre-scene analysis, which looks at the pre-scene in a lot of depth, applies key information to that, and also concludes with the strategic analysis, where we look at the various different models in the CIMA syllabus and apply them to the case, and also the top 10 most likely issues to arise in your exam. Generally, we have a 70 to 80% accuracy rate on our top 10 issues. Our industry pack, which details in great depth the history and the current contemporary issues within the particular industry that the pre-scene is based on. We also have 20 to 25 industry examples that you can use within your answers. We have mock exams that can be purchased with or without marking and feedback, where you can get some real exam practice in, look for the kinds of things that the examiner is going to bring up in the exam, and also get marking and feedback from expert markers who have marked for CIMA and for us for many years, who know exactly the kind of things that the examiner is looking for, exactly the kinds of mistakes that students often make, and can provide lots of detailed feedback to ensure that you improve on your performance. We also have our master classes, which are 2 day-long classes which look at all the key issues facing students in the exam. We will also go through live planning, showing you how to plan your answers effectively, how to write your answers effectively. Again, key things that cause people to fail the strategic case study exam, or any of the case study exams for that matter. And also, if you do sign up for our course, provided that you have filled out your forms, provided that you have submitted your mocks, provided you have done everything to show that you have really given it your all to try and pass this exam, we also offer a pass guarantee, giving a free resit to anyone who fails the exam.